to lose him was the hardest thing. But it woke me up to the fact that I had been so willing to throw away my life. And at that young age, I thought it was because I didn't like my life. But I just was so afraid of failing at my life that I was willing to just throw it away because I was too scared that I didn't have control. I was so anxious about being the person I thought I should have been for my family, for people that I loved, that I'd never live up to it, that I'd always be depressed, that I'd always be anxious, that I'd always be afraid of the world. And as someone who attempted multiple times to end my life, begging for the strength to truly have my life end seemed so selfish after losing the life of somebody who wanted to live so badly. I regret years of not realizing how valuable my life was, if not for its connection to those around me. I regret not spending more time and showing the people around me that I loved them. I was too caught up in trying to love myself and figure out who I was that it didn't really matter about those who were really there for me. I was too worried about earning new love that those who had always given it to me fell by the wayside. But you shouldn't let this fear and anxiety that every day might be your last for the people that you love make you feel the way I do all the time. Because it's really hard to continue to be a happy person for those around you when you're just so terrified that you're wasting the time that you have, that you'll never do these things again, that I'll never be able to hold the people I love again. That ticking, clicking anxiety of one day you're gonna die, and it might not be before everyone else around you. So you just have to watch as everything slips away and you're the last one there. And I don't know what scares me more, the anxiety of my own death or the anxiety of my loved ones' deaths. Coping for me now is just loving abundantly and without fear of losing it, and the understanding that even if I do, the time I had with whomever, whether it be a friend, family, or a partner, the value of having that love is much greater than the fear, the anxiety that comes with losing it. So now I'm just more prepared for loss and more prepared to let people go. All I can do is keep going, just hold on to everything that gives me joy, all these tangible things that I surround myself with, bright colors I surround myself with, people who love me I surround myself with, I bombard myself with. I would just advise into looking for joy around you. It's the only way to get you out of the cave. Whether it's anxiety of loss, fear of loss, anxiety because of loss, anxiety because of fear, they're all tied in together. So whatever you can do to make yourself feel safe, loved, and experience joy is going to be helpful. Anything that can bring that light and into the cave far enough for you to feel like walking out is worth it. I'm proud that I can talk about it now and that I can express what I've learned to others. I'm proud that I can hopefully be, and have apparently been, told that I was able to be Stewie for other people. I'm just really happy and proud to still be alive, and that fear of dying hasn't stopped me from living.
it took probably like 2 months for me to realize, oh my God, there were so many nights that I said soberly, no, I don't want to have sex with you. And then he would just try to get me to drink. He would put alcohol in my drink. He would count down and make me drink. Any sort of punishment whatsoever that he could formulate that he knew would get to me, he would put on the line to make me get drunk so that my sober answer of no didn't matter enough anymore. And just kind of remembering that and putting 2 and 2 together that, oh, that was rape through coercion. If your answer is no and someone has to convince you or convince themselves that they're getting a yes, it's still rape. It came with just a lot of immediate self-blame of like, maybe I wasn't clear enough. No, I was fucking clear enough when I said no when I was sober. But yeah, most of the realization I have experienced happened far after the relationships ended, because you have to compartmentalize that trauma while you're experiencing it and just shove it in a box so that you can process it later, because it's too much to process in the moment. When I got over the hump and stopped feeling so much anger and just feeling terrible for myself all the time, because you go through this phase of coping where you have to, oh man, you have to mourn the version of yourself that you're coping over. You're mourning the loss of the person that was abused because you're not that person anymore. And it's a great thing, but it's also a really sad thing. Because when I got out of both of those relationships, I was just an absolute shell of a person. So coping with the grief of that was more so me doing a lot of self-therapy, whether it be journaling or just conversations with myself. And that's probably the best thing I did for myself, because you can have immense trust in so many people, but if you don't trust yourself, you really can't trust anyone. So having to own up to those things and also be a friend to myself and be there for myself was so hard, but it was the most healing, and still is the most healing and comforting thing I've ever felt, because I love myself now. And it's because I've had to be there for myself. Don't ever settle for anything less than what makes you absurdly happy. Learn how to compartmentalize your logic from your emotion, because it's so hard, but it's the only way you can truly do things for yourself. Recognizing that the me I was 9 months ago was a completely different, broken person, and being able to recognize the growth that I've experienced, it's probably my proudest moment of myself. Yeah, I did that. I did that and I got out of it, and I love myself more now than I did years ago, because I've accomplished so much within myself, so much that isn't on paper. Oh, I went to the world's most renowned culinary school, big freaking deal. I got out of 2 abusive relationships, and I'm still with a positive outlook on life, a positive outlook on love. I still see the best in people. I'm not letting either of those men still have control over me and ruin me and make me not enjoy life as much as I possibly can. And I'm pretty fucking proud of that.
So I identify as non-binary. I, am neither a boy or a girl, nothing in between, whatever you want to call it. That identity is very broad. It's an umbrella term. But for myself, I try to kind of lean more towards androgynous, in the middle, blurry line. Like when people look at me and go, like that makes me happy. That's kind of what I'm going for. Figuring out that that's what I wanted was difficult, because I didn't know it necessarily existed in the beginning. So it was a long trial of like forcing myself to be not this, but this, but that's not totally comfortable, but like there's no other options. It was a confusing time in middle school. And then I kind of like fully leaned into that in high school, and the last few years of high school was like really, really validating for me. Being able to be in an environment where I was like, oh, hey, I'm non-binary, and then nobody like batted an eye, that was so good for me, because it really helped me grow into that like label rather than like struggle and make sure that it fit. I was able to very quickly accept that for myself. A lot of my identity is like outwardly expressed. So dressing like in outlandish clothes, or something that'll make like old people like stare at me while I walk by, or like cutting my hair or dyeing it bright colors. I think that's one of the best ways that I cope, one of the healthiest ways that I cope. It makes me more comfortable because I get to change myself into my ideal self. And all in all, like being happy with who I am physically, even if I can't change some things, 100% helps. And it's been the best way I found to cope. My advice for anybody, feeling the way I do or did, going through literally anything similar. Experiment. Experimenting with labels, with pronouns, with the way you look, your hair, your makeup. It can all be very almost enlightening because if you experiment a lot and you finally find something that you're comfortable with and you stick with it, like that whole process wasn't a waste. Find someone to talk it out with, because saying things out loud is a hell of a lot different than just thinking it. Speaking about certain things kind of like makes it a reality, and it makes it, in my opinion, easier to deal with because it's not something that you're just like making up in your head. But also do research. Don't think you know everything, because sometimes you'll learn something, or you'll, expand your vocabulary, find a new word, find a new label or whatever, and it feels better than the last one. You're making progress. I am proud of who I am today. I am proud of how I present myself and how I talk to other people about myself. I am proud of overcoming every little issue that I've had. I'm very proud of myself.